Hello and welcome to this trailer for our paper, How Organizations Move from Stigma to Legitimacy, the Case of Cook's Travel Agency in Victorian Britain. I'm Christian Hampel, an assistant professor at Imperial College Business School.
And I'm Paul Tracey, a professor at the Cambridge Business School. So our study is motivated by a simple question, and that is, how can stigmatised organisations gain legitimacy? Now, when stakeholders classify an organisation as stigmatised, they believe that it's fairly flawed and, at the extreme, that it shouldn't even exist. And this is important, I guess, for the obvious implications for organisational performance, because organisations will avoid organisations that they stigmatise, deny them the resources, and perhaps even actively fight against them. Now, there are many different types of organisations, such as arms manufacturers, mixed martial arts organisations, both of which have been written about in AMJ, that have been stigmatised by certain organisations. Now, the existing research suggests that stigmatised organisations can manage the consequences of the stigma, but they cannot actually get rid of the stigma itself. And so we set out to explore this further by using a case of an organisation that was stigmatised at its birth, but which later came to be accepted by those who had originally stigmatised it.
To understand how stigmatized organizations can gain legitimacy, we studied the beginnings of the travel agency in 19th century Britain. While the travel agency today is widely accepted, when Thomas Cook opened its first travel agency in London in the 19th century, it was attacked by the British elite. Specifically, the British elite stigmatized Cook for offering travel to the masses for people from lower social classes who they thought were unworthy and dangerous. Of course, this created strategic problems for Cook's travel agency because it deterred customers. However, in less than 20 years, the British elite changed its stance, and radically so, on Cook's travel agency. It came to celebrate it as rendering invaluable services. We set out to study how this transformation was possible and how Cook's travel agency lost its stigma.
So in the paper, we develop a simple model which shows that organisations can destigmatise through a two-step approach. The first step involves what we call stigma reduction work, designed to minimise the overt hostility among stakeholders by showing that the organisation doesn't pose a risk to them. For example, in our case, Cook's travel agency showed its allegiance to Britain's institutions, such as the monarchy, and pointed out that it could help worthy, non-dangerous groups, such as teachers and priests, to enjoy travel as well as the masses. So the second step involves what we call stigma elimination work, designed to gain support from stigmatisers by showing that the organisation plays a positive role in society. For example, in our case, we found that Cook's travel agency used its international network to provide its critics from the press with valuable foreign news stories, and it also used the infrastructure that it had built to help members of the elite when they got into trouble with their own travels. And so slowly but surely, we found that critics changed their opinion about Cook's travel agency.
As a result, Cook's travel agency was able to move from pariah to paragon in the eyes of the British elite, losing its toxic stigmatization. Our paper shows that organizations that are born with a stigma are not sentenced to live with that stigma for the rest of their lives. To the contrary, we show that it is possible to destigmatize to become a normal and accepted organization.
I hope you enjoyed watching this high-level overview and that you'll look to the full paper to get the more nuanced insights that we develop.